So we're very excited to have this speaker. He's come over from the UK. He's got a strong Slovakian, I think I got that right, Slovenian accent. He's doing amazing work around the world, looking at some of the things that we talked about in the broadcaster panel, which is turning linear impressions into digital ones. And in the UK, they are doing a thing called C-Flight, where they try and count all the impressions across linear and broadcast, linear and digital across different networks. It's the technology behind that. So anyway, he's come here from the UK, so I think he deserves a big round of applause for that. So ladies and gentlemen, the CEO and founder of tvbeat, Robert Farazin. Robert, come join us.
Oh, wow.
Did I get that right?
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Oh, this is way bigger audience than I thought this morning when I practiced in front of the mirror. So let's see. OK, so we heard a lot today about fragmentation, right? In the session already at 7:30 in the morning. You guys do start early days. And also before on the broadcast panel at, I think, 10:15. And what we will kind of talk about today here is really about how we are working with the industry to help kind of solve the fragmentation challenge, right? We see that fragmentation is still a big challenge, which kind of hinders yield, but also more importantly, limit the buyer access to the inventory, right? And what we really want to do, it's all about kind of unification, simplification, easy to sell your inventory or access to your audiences, to the buyers. So before we kind of go deeper into that, how we do that, and present a bit cases from around the world, let's kind of first maybe address why solving fragmentation is still important. The first one is about disconnected inventories, right? We are still hearing here a lot about, OK, we have a linear inventory, we have a digital inventory, now we have a CTV inventory, VOD inventory. I think on the end, platforms and the way you deliver doesn't really matter, right? What matters for your buyers is to effectively, on the simple way, reach the audience, right? And that's easier to say than actually do, because the technical guys, including me, we do like to talk about the platforms, right? It's nice to talk about them. So that needs to go away, right? And this can be solved already. It's solved on many markets. Another thing which doesn't help is that every platform generates different quality and different level of the data, right? So, you know, the digital platforms usually generate way more data sets or data points, if you want, or signals, if you want, than linear platforms, which are sometimes measured by panel data. But even that can be solved, and it's solved on many markets where the metrics like C-Flight kind of unify the measurement across linear and digital. I think the next challenge we see as a challenge is a lot of manual workflows. And one of the reasons you have so many manual workflows is because you kind of have very fragmented trading, very fragmented way how you actually sell different inventories. This, of course, increases your operational cost, but I think more importantly, it really slowed down broadcasters how to launch new advertising products on the market. And that is very important. Like, if we are hearing here about different digital players, CTV players, they're releasing products almost every month, right? I don't see that yet from the broadcast side. I think this needs to change. And you know, if you think about the fragmentation, this really frustrates the buyers. They want to kind of achieve total audience reach on channel or platform agnostic way, right? So that's a big cost. And if we were hearing before, you know, some broadcasters are saying we are losing 20% of revenue year on year. But then they also say our audience is down only 3%. This means that you have a product which buyers don't want to buy. You still have the audience, but you need to package it differently. So that's kind of very important. Then if we think about furthermore, why for buyers is also important to solve the fragmentation. One thing I'm hearing a lot in the industry for a while, let's deliver on unified reach and frequency. Again, many markets around the world solve that. I will show some cases later. And another thing which we hear a lot buyers would like is consistency and simplicity across all the different channels, right? One of the reasons buyers often say, just put me everything in DSP, it's not because they really want, I don't know, very advanced features. Actually, that's very funny to hear, right? It's actually more because they say, oh, we have everything consolidated in one system now, right? I think broadcast industry can consolidate that without the DSP. So how we execute on that? So first, you unify all your inventories. You are not selling just, let's say, linear digital BVOD and everything. You actually sell different multi-currency products to the buyers which they want to buy them, right? To achieve that, you need to unify all your first and third-party data. You know, what we learned so far in the last 15 years, broadcasters never had more data sets than now. It's so much data. It's so much data that sometimes we see that they don't know what to do with them. You have the panel data from companies like Numeris here. You have your first-party data on digital or on set-top box side. You should take all of this data together, normalize it, and create multi-currency environment, which allows you to sell different products to different buyers. You know, you don't need to argue, will you sell brand advertising, will you sell performance advertising? You can sell both to the audience, right? Your audience, it's kind of accepting both. And then another thing, you know, we are hearing a lot about programmatic for the last couple of years. Let's just go to programmatic, let's just go to programmatic. Well, that's nice, but that's not the only way. And I don't think you should put everything in just programmatic. You know, you should have a unified system which allows you to maximize yield across your direct, self-service, and programmatic channels, right? And that brings you to the next stack, which means flexibility, right? Another thing we see in the broadcast industry is that they have a very kind of fragmented ad stack, which again doesn't help, right? When you think about the digital players, they have now everything in the modern ad server DSP. It all works. You know, most of the time, broadcasters have multiple execution systems. They have a trafficking system, 1, 2, 3 ad servers. They also acquire some inventory from the DSPs, right? You need to unify all of that and create multiple paths to your buyers. They can access and buy from you directly. They can access through self-serve, or they can do it programmatically, right? Different advertisers accept different workflows, right? So for example, you can go, big agencies sometimes prefer DSPs. You have small businesses, you can offer self-service tools. I know that Dan here is very present in Canada. They're one of the good examples, right? You will cater different buyers with them. And another thing which is very important is that you stay in control, both in pricing, packaging, and the delivery rules, right? So how you can lead that shift? So first, once you have this unified solution, right, you should kind of try to see what different buyers want. So on one side, you can tap into the small business market. They usually have different requirements. They expect a bit different way. Self-service platforms are super for that. But it doesn't mean that if you will just launch the self-service platform, that this will actually work, right? You need to also promote this to them. And historically, we see that broadcasters were not really doing that, or they didn't need to do that. So it's a learning curve for that as well, right? The second one, you can actually also offer some of that additional inventory through programmatic space. But what is important to highlight is that once you create unified inventory view, you can expand through the programmatic all your inventory, not only digital inventory, right? Like, you know, if you do only digital inventory, maybe you do that 20%, 40%. The total TV allows you to expose to programmatic channels all your inventory, including traditional linear inventory, okay? So another important thing, once you operate holistically, is that you create a holistic forecast, that you actually can create smart packaging across all your inventories. How much audience I have tomorrow, how much capacity I have tomorrow. This is especially important in sports. Sports is very hard to forecast, and because you don't maybe have a good forecast, it doesn't help you maximize the delivery of ads there. So that is some opportunity to improve. To create holistic planning and booking workflows and kind of deliver automatic data-empowered yield optimization. So once you have this kind of automated way, you could really drive the business. And when we talk about that, this is all already live. There are global customers, global markets, where, for example, Sky Media in UK, and now ITV and Channel 4. It was the first collaboration outside GEEK. They all introduced C-Flight metric, which is the total TV ad measurement across linear and digital. Then, for example, Foxtel in Australia, they introduced digitalization of the traditional inventory with linear programmatic solution, right? So they're not standing still. They're hearing what markets want, and they're trying to adjust and offer the products they want to buy. The same solution is now in the US market with Spectrum Reach, where they had a lot of remnant inventory. Historically, remnant inventory, linear buyers were not really interested. But the CTV buyers, they are amazed about this inventory. You just need to actually create a path in the DSP so that they can access this inventory and they can actually measure it by the way how they're used to measure, so that you don't sell the spots or ratings to the DSPs, but the audience impressions, right? And this allows companies like that offer inventory for the price historically we're not able to offer. So instead of going to the CTV buyers, now these agencies can actually spend that CPM on that remnant inventory and get the incremental access to the buyers who are not maybe just on the streaming platforms. The same we see in Scandinavia. I want to really highlight Scandinavia. Scandinavia is very ahead, I believe, in terms of convergence. For example, in Finland, 90% of TV campaigns are converged campaigns. People don't talk about linear and digital campaigns. They talk about audience-based campaigns across all the properties. So this is all kind of live and already tested. Now, just for me, just the last few bullet points, I think what is really important for the broadcasters in the next 12 to 18 months, and I think we heard many of these things already, which is great to see, is the greater interoperability between the platforms, converged measurement, multi-currency measurement, right? We see markets which really move everything to impressions, but we also see the markets where everything is moved to impacts, right? So if you move everything to impacts, can my ad server even deliver impacts? Yeah, it is possible, right? So you could actually sell impacts on the ad servers as well. I believe people were talking here a bit about co-viewing and so on before. I think another thing is the evolution further of hybrid execution models, right? You would not sell only brand advertising, performance advertising, and so on. It's combination of all of that, combination of different buyers. And on the end, always on data-driven yield management. These will really help you drive each spot, each impression to maximize yield, but also to deliver the value to your buyers. So that's kind of what we see as a fragmentation, how to solve it. Happy to chat more about that also later. Thank you.